I, 26F, thought my husband, 27M, was cheating. I followed him on his work trip and he was not. Now what? My husband, 27M, and I, 26F, have been together for 5 years, and we have been married for just over 3 years, and we have a baby boy who is almost 2 years old, and we are hoping to have a second child soon. We have a really good marriage, and there's a lot of quality emotional, physical, and sexual intimacy, and he's a great father as well. However, I may have just ruined it all. A friend of mine works in the same department of the company as my husband, and they occasionally run into each other, but they have never worked together. 3 weeks ago, she called and told me that my husband had a work wife, someone of our age who joined the company 3 months ago on my husband's team, and advised me to be suspicious. She showed me pictures and videos that she had taken of my husband with his alleged work wife, and none of it looked particularly alarming and looked like normal interactions between co-workers. My husband has mentioned her before and said that they are working on the same projects, and he would have to help her get up to speed, and they would be occasionally working together. My husband and I both have an open device policy, so I looked through his phone that evening and found only work-related texts and emails between them. I asked my husband about it and let him know that my friend had mentioned him working with the work wife. My husband laughed and reassured me and said it was purely work and told me there was nothing to be worried about. I trusted him fully, so I dropped it and told my friend that there was nothing going on between them. My friend was adamant that there was at least an emotional affair going on, and it would turn physical if they got the chance, and I asked for her solid proof. There are no signs of my husband cheating from my perspective. He wasn't hiding his phone, mysteriously going out, and he was emotionally present at home, and we were getting intimate very often as well. However, for the next week, my friend would text me every day that they were doing this and that, but there was simply no proof. I grew tired of this and told my friend to either send me actual proof of something going on or stop. I was still periodically checking my husband's phone and laptop, but never found anything. She told me that to her knowledge, they hadn't kissed or even hugged, but there was definitely something brewing there, but she would stop telling me if she just simply saw a conversation between the two. That week, my husband was given a promotion, meaning his current team, including the alleged work wife, will be directly working under him starting in a few weeks. We celebrated that night, and I basically forgot all about what my friend had been saying until the next day, where my husband came home with a bottle of red wine with a taped sticky note congratulating my husband on the promotion with a little heart at the end of the message. I went ballistic at my husband for the first time that day and accused him of cheating and said horrible things that I never should have said to him. He denied everything. Again, there was no proof that my husband was cheating, and he was emotionally and physically as present as ever. I apologized to him the next day, and we made up. This week, my husband had to go on a work trip for 3 days, not the whole week due to it being the 4th of July, with 3 other people, including the work wife. He doesn't travel for work often, and I was again suspicious if something was going on, and made up my mind to follow my husband and to see for myself if anything was going on. He had a choice between taking a 1.5-hour flight or a 5-hour drive, and my husband, being the car fanatic he is, he chose the 5-hour drive. I told my best friend, different friend, about the situation, and she warned me that if my husband wasn't cheating, I would regret doing this, but she did agree to look after our son for a few days. After he left, I rented a car and also drove to the city he was going to. I trusted that if something was going on, nothing would happen in the office, and they would wait to get back to the hotel. For 3 days and 2 nights, I tracked his location and observed from a distance, and nothing ever happened. Both days, my husband would have a drink at dinner with the other 3 colleagues, and then he would go back to the hotel room and call me. And on the 3rd day, he drove back home after work. I made excuses as to why we couldn't FaceTime, and we would just talk on a voice call for a few minutes. I drove back on the 3rd morning, and I was relieved that my husband was loyal to me, but I have had an overwhelming sense of guilt and self-disgust for breaching my husband's privacy and trust ever since. When my husband came home, I had his favorite meal prepared, and I just hugged him as tight as I possibly could. It's been 24 hours since he came home, and we went to a 4th of July show today, but all I have been thinking about is what I did. I told my best friend about how guilty and ashamed I feel, and she gave me an ultimatum that either I tell my husband about how I stalked him during his business trip or she will tell him. I know what I did was wrong. I knew it was wrong when I was doing it, but I needed to know for my own sanity. What do I do now? And that's it for today. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for more Reddit gems. See you in the next one.